I'm back, guys. I'm on. Dude, new update. And now I'm wondering if this was freaking I look at the time and it's like 3:20. I'm gonna be so mad if this was out when I was freaking alive and I just didn't go to their website to look. Oh my lord, but new huge update, guys. In this case, holy mackerel. Okay. I'm gonna wait till a couple people come before I start because whoa. It's actually like a new one where it's not just added on to what we already know. This is a huge new update. Let me take a sip of mine. Hi, Base Loose and Jesse and Twisted Waffle Fry. I'm not going to be long because I was cuddling downstairs with Zeke, but I had to hop on. I had to. I ate my dinner. We got to go over this real quick. So TMZ put out a new article. Holy mackerel. No, Caitlin, I'm not going to tell you he's a suspect. This is actually a new update. Okay. This is like new. Okay, here we go. There's a few big things, I think. And if I'm trying to exit out this, okay, let me share my screen and we'll just get right into it because I'm not going to be long. Um, unless if something else pops up while I'm doing it. But okay, so here we go. Check this out. Oh, it's disturbing though. It makes me mad. The more I'm learning about this, the more it makes me freaking mad. But here we go. Okay, I'm trying to exit out of this stupid thing. This thing won't exit. But okay. Well, what I'll do here is I'll go like this. Okay. Body found in frozen state, cause of death may never be determined. And I know you guys are probably gonna have the same questions I have after when we read through this. So I'm gonna read through it all uninterrupted, and then we'll talk about it because there's a few things I don't get. Like this title related to everything doesn't make sense to me because let's just read it here. Okay. Celeste Rivas' body had been frozen. As a result, it looks like the LA County medical examiner will not be able to establish a cause of death. Sources directly connected to the investigation tell TMZ. According to those sources, the medical examiner received the body in horrendous condition. It was decapitated, and while the torso was intact, the limbs had been removed and cut into multiple pieces. Sicko. Ugh. We're told all of the body parts were partially frozen and had apparently been thawing out while sitting in the trunk of David's Tesla. Remember, David's vehicle had not been moved for several days when it was parked on the Hollywood Hills street near his rental home, which resulted in it getting towed and then the body being found. As TMZ reported, Celeste's body was in such bad shape. Initially, investigators did not know if it was male or female. When the body was received by the ME's medical examiner's office, the initial determination was this was a victim of an apparent homicide. But our sources say the ME is now having trouble establishing an official manner of or cause of death, and it will most likely be undetermined. Ew. Other sources connected to the investigation tell TMZ the LAPD's robbery homicide division is viewing Celeste's death as a homicide. And even if the official cause of death is undetermined, authorities can move forward with an arrest. So once they make that official cause, even if it is undetermined, there's going to be an arrest regardless. This is even if this is circumstantial, even if they don't have a cause of death. I mean, you don't have to, they probably have so much other evidence, it don't matter. Oh, he's sick. So I mean, that in itself, decapitated, freaking the limbs were chopped up into pieces and it was frozen. So I mean, and let me read the rest and then I have questions. Hopefully I'll remember all the questions I'm having. So maybe you guys could help me work through this here. Okay. So it does say authorities can move forward with an arrest, even if it's undetermined. Okay. TMZ broke the story. David is now considered a suspect in his Celeste death. What's more, TMZ has learned there's a second suspect who authorities believed helped David in the dismemberment of Celeste's body. Mark Garagos, I called him Frank earlier, I just realized. But Mark Garagos appeared on the most recent Two Angry Man podcast and said he knows the name of the second suspect. And authorities told him this person might have been involved before, during, and after Celeste's death. TMZ also broke the story. A critical part of the case involves a trip investigators say David took to a remote area of Santa Barbara County in the middle of the night back in spring, where he spent 2 hours. If Celeste's body was taken to that area months before it was discovered in LA, it seems the operating theory is the body parts were put in some sort of freezer for a long time before it ended up in David's Tesla in late September or late summer, sorry, in late summer. Um, okay. Somebody writes, Mark Garagos, Menendez brothers attorney at large, OJ Simpson, Diddy defender, is not defending David. That alone tells me David is guilty. That name David sounds like an STD, I swear. DV4DD. Or wait, D4VD. Okay. So a couple things I'm a little bit confused because you would think if it was in a frozen state, it would actually have slowed down the decomp, therefore making it easier, if possible, actually making it better to determine the cause of death. The frozen part. That's why I'm confused because they're making it seem like because it was frozen, they're going to have trouble determining the cause of death, and that confuses me because why would freezing something take away that I don't get that. I would have thought it would do the opposite. It would preserve the natural state longer in order to maybe have better material, better thing to work with because it wouldn't be as decomposed as it would have been. So I'm a little bit confused about that, why they're relating the two. Does anybody know about that? And another thing, wait, let me skim through this because I had one more thing I wanted to I think it was in this critical part involves a trip investigator say man, I forget the other thing I wanted to ask. I knew I was gonna forget that. Yeah, and maybe it'll come back to me. Wait, a critical part of the case involves investigator. So they're saying in the middle of the night in the spring where he spent 2 hours, the body was taken to that area. If Celeste's body was taken to the area months before it was discovered in LA, it seems the operating theory is the body parts were put in some sort of freezer for a long time before it ended up in David's Tesla. Okay. So, um, it was probably frozen after a certain time frame since spring and then the heat from the August, September. Yeah. RII RIA, the person I'm talking to from them, was telling me that Reddit, I don't know who she said on Reddit has an interesting theory. So I guess one of the theories that's going on Reddit now, which I'll click on it in a minute and see if I could find it. But she told me and I could just relay it and see what you guys think. That one of the theories is, because the whole January thing that everybody's thinking, well, I guess SF Investigates kind of put out the whole January that there was no proof of life after January. So I guess on Reddit, there's a theory that the murder happened in January. She would wait. How did maybe I don't remember because that wait if she was brought, that would make sense. Oh, and then maybe she was buried. Let me see, because I was thinking I understood it, but now that I'm repeating it, I was thinking something else. Hold on, let me see. It was something about her being buried in Santa Barbara and then taken and frozen, but I was thinking that would only have made sense, right, if she was I don't know, it's not making as much sense as when I first heard it. Hold on, Reddit says that she was posting stuff at the beginning of January. which what he was of weird picture. Okay, hold on. She was killed in January. Then David panics in April or something and goes out to Santa Barbara and digs her body up. Okay. So they're saying the theory is killed in January, buried in Santa Barbara, but the trip to Santa Barbara is when he goes up. The specific trip that they are talking about is when he goes back, unburies her, digs her up, and then puts her in the freezer up until September or whenever he puts her in his trunk. Um, but then the question is, okay, why don't we have the trip when he went out there the first time to bury her? Maybe the second trip he took the Tesla, first trip he didn't, second trip maybe he used his phone, first trip he remembered not to. Could be different reasons like that. Just a theory, just somebody's theory in Reddit. They're talking about it, I guess. Um, I don't know what I think. I got to have this thing sink in because I just saw this. Hurry up and made a quickest thumbnail. So forgive my thumbnail. That was the quickest. I made that thumbnail so quick because I wanted to hurry up and just share it with you guys. So I'm still like absorbing this. Dang it. So she was in the car for sure. Okay, wait. July 31st is when SF Investigate said, or July 30th, 29th. I don't know. Now I forget if it was July 29th, 30th, or 31st. Not the 31st, because that was 29th. It was the day of the 29th, right? Because I'm thinking of that party was on the 28th into the 29th. So yeah, July 29th, he made it seem like was the last time that Tesla was moved, right? So that means they found it. They found her. So yeah, she would have been in there before they found her, what, September 8th. So she couldn't have still been frozen. There's no way. So maybe they could just tell she was frozen. There's no way after over a month. How many days is that in the hot trunk? How could she still be frozen? Maybe they could just tell that she was frozen. There's no way. Wouldn't she be thawed out by that? Let me see how many days. I mean, because it's like summertime. I could see if it was in the winter. Hold on. I'll look at comments in 1 second. I just want to see how many days exactly that is. So 29th, she was moved. A month. That's a month and a week. 31. That's like 40 days. I don't know. Yeah, maybe there would be a little bit. So this is the thing. It's not clear if they're saying she was still actually was frozen or they could just tell that she had thawed out. Because they could probably tell either way that she was frozen and she was thawing out because they do word it like she was thawing out in the car. So maybe they could tell maybe she was still a little cold. There's parts that were kind of cold still. There was like no way that, and there's probably different things they could look at to tell that she was frozen. But was she actually still in the moment frozen? I don't know. I mean, they make it seem like she still was maybe a little bit. I guess it's possible. I mean, 40 days in the heat, but maybe. But for sure she was frozen before she was put in there. That's sick. He's sick. I can't. And so she was decapitated. Everything now that sounds like everything was there, but it was just all taken apart. So like her head was there, her limbs were there, her torso was there, everything was there. It was just dismembered. Now I see. Head, torso was intact, limbs were chopped up into pieces. I just can't. That's basically the update is partially frozen or not partially. She was frozen. I think when they ended up finding her, she still was a little bit thawing out. Because of that, they said they probably won't be able to get a cause of death, which I'm not sure why. I still don't get why that would hinder that. You would think that would increase the chances of getting a cause of death, but maybe I'm not understanding that whole process. And now we know her remains. It sounds like what I got from it is everything was there is just dismembered, decapitated, torso, all intact, limbs chopped up. So that's basically the whole update in a nutshell, right? Did I miss anything for people coming in? That's horrible. They said it was she was in some sort of freezer for a long time, so they could tell. Um, uh, and it also they said that, the second suspect told, we know, Garagos, that the person may have been involved, this second suspect, before, during, and after. So they're thinking, they're at least they're investigating the possibility that this second suspect might have been there for the murder, might have actually taken part in the murder and not just the cover up or not just the cleanup or whatever. Um, that's just horrible. Uh, and, that's reassuring to hear, but I think we all knew that just because it's undetermined doesn't mean that they can't make an arrest. If they think somebody did it, they're gonna make that arrest. Um, but they said as long as once they get that official cause of death, and they think it's gonna be undetermined, but once they get that, then they'll move forward with making an arrest. Dude, they better be quick because David has seen all this, and so is his freaking accomplice. They better freaking have eyes on him because he's in Texas, that's so close to the border, and he's got a lot of money, maybe some connections. I just hope they got eyes on him. And I wonder, I know people think, the person that helped, maybe he's gonna cut a deal. Or he or she, I think it's a he, but I don't know, maybe that person's gonna cut a deal, and they know they're screwed, but if they're the first to get information for some kind of deal, you know, that might even help in solidifying his freaking conviction, David's, even though that person won't. If that person had any part, I mean, that person still hopefully will get some jail time and get punished depending on what part they played. But I mean, it wouldn't be weird to see that person cut a deal unless if they're just going to try to deny it. But if they see there's all this evidence, I don't know, man. Wow. Yeah, I know. I'm thinking too, because that's like your best bet for the other person. Because if you don't, like, you could get the same murder charges, life. You know what I'm saying? If that person knows like there's all this evidence against us and they know what happened and they're screwed, they could get maybe like 20, 25 years or something. I mean, I would hope it would still be a large chunk. Now, depending on if what part they took part in. If they took part of the actual killing, oh Lord. Yeah. Oh, it said 1 arm? I didn't see that. Where did you see that? Let me see if anybody else did anything, but I would think the main source is TMZ. Everybody's probably gonna be getting it from TMZ. Torso is intact, limbs removed and cut. And where do you see there's 1 arm attached? I don't remember reading it. I'm not seeing that. It says, while the torso was intact, the limbs had been removed and cut into multiple pieces. I don't know where you saw that. Um, oh, yeah, but now we have more information. So, now it sounds like I don't know, it sounds like the torso is intact, the limbs have been I don't even remember reading that at the beginning, to be honest. Okay, so actually, let me just share these pictures that RI shared with me. I wanna, this is back in January. Now, these pictures will kinda go along with, that theory that hold on, let me bring up Reddit and see who's all saying that because I didn't even actually look at it. She just told me that there was an interesting theory on there. Oh my god, I watched this one! That is Asia! Dude, I watched this one, like, twice before just this year. I didn't even realize that was her. Oh, it's one of those glow ups, the blind dates. I think it's the one he picked. Yeah. It was the one he picked, I think, if I'm remembering right. Right? I think. But oh my lord, that's her. Go watch it, guys. Yes. They hide behind a screen and it's like this glow up thing where those put their pictures who had the biggest glow up, and he gets to date one of them. He get asked some questions, and then he'll get to see like their kid picture, like what they were, and then supposedly it's like all these people had like big glow, is it called glow ups? So then now they're like look a lot better. She was one of them. Oh, that's crazy because I swear I watched this. I actually watched this one twice for some reason. I don't know why. Wow. Did you realize it was her? Because I didn't until I just saw this. I was like, oh my God. I just watched not even that long ago that I watched it. I mean, oh my gosh. Okay, let me see what else. Um, oh, I want to send me these pictures that she sent me. Hold on a second. And supposedly she's trying to look for this picture. She said there's a picture they have, but she can't find it right now, and she's looking for it where David is in front of a big freezer. Yeah, so she said, I mean, they had it a while ago, but now that this came out, she's like, "Oh my, we're trying to find it, but the person that has it or whatever is offline or something." So she's trying to find it. So hopefully she'll find it before I end the live. But I guess he's in front of like a big freezer in one of the pictures. All right, hold on. Let me send me these other pictures. One second. I might have already done it. I think. I think I did. Hold on. Now this. Oh no, I didn't. Hold on, I didn't send it to me. Why is that? Dude, that was a live picture too. All right, hold on. Let me just send me my email. Just stay right there. And I want to see what you guys are saying because I did not even get to see what your guys' response were. Mm, all right, hold on. Let me pick. Let me just screenshotting because this has been making me mad. I saved them in my text message, but for some reason, it's like she must have sent them to me before, and so it goes up and it saves in my thing from, like, whenever she sent them, so I can never find them because I have so many pictures. Okay, hold on. So these are pictures, and obviously it's not really, I mean, I wouldn't think it's really, blood, like, real blood, but these are from January, so she's just like, "This could go along with that theory of, like, what if the murder did happen in January? They went and buried her in Santa Barbara." He started freaking out because I do think there's a good possibility that it was something like that, that she was buried there, and he freaked out and, like, was getting nervous and went and picked her up there that night. Um, I mean, I think a lot of us have thought that whole thing. I think even on TMZ, they even thought. I think even just the video we watched today, they were contemplating, was that what happened? Um, so what if he freaked out? He goes and unburies her, brings her back, puts her in the freezer, and maybe in the meantime he bought that a freezer to put her in, or maybe he had one, or maybe like, oh, let's buy a big freezer. Gets a freezer, puts her in there, and then why did he take her out of the freezer and put her in the car? And then right before he's going on an international tour? Makes no sense to me, but maybe somebody fell through and somebody was supposed to take care of it and they didn't, because that would be the stupidest thing. Right before we go on tour, let's put her over there. Unless if he was stupid enough to think, let me do it and then I'll have an alibi because she's frozen. So they'll think like she just got put there, like, you know what I'm saying? That maybe it would be months before they found her in the car or something, and they would think, oh, she was just put there. David has an alibi. Really not the smartest thing. Stupid, if you ask me, but that's the only thing I could think of why he would do that. If not, why wouldn't he just keep her in the freezer till he gets back? And so I'm thinking either to play the whole framing and alibi thing and thinking because she's frozen, it would look like she died more recently or was put there more recently. So therefore, oh, he has an alibi. So how could it be me? Or somebody was supposed to take care of it and didn't follow through. Um, That's the only 2 options in my head that I could make sense. Okay, let me see what you guys are thinking. That was the explanation someone was supposed to get her. Yeah, I mean, yeah, unless if, like I said, he was so stupid that he thought because she was frozen, he but still, it's she's in your car. It can't be that. It can't be that because that is just stupid. You would been better off keeping her buried if she was even buried. I don't know. I'm thinking there's a reason. I mean, why would he go way out there? Like you think if he did want to dismember her, he would do it in the privacy of his own home because there would be no cameras that would catch him, anything. So it doesn't really make sense that he went there to dismember her. That never really made sense to me. Um, but none of this makes sense. And like Harvey says, you can't think logically on this because it doesn't make sense. The process makes absolutely no sense. Um, I'm too loud. What are you saying too loud for, Aurora? You saying I'm too loud? Hi, Anacorn. Maybe not. Maybe just that channel. What channel? I watched that too. Oh, the tools, the tools. Oh, but then you go to a remote area. I guess if he did, maybe it was a spot they knew of and it was really remote and he thought nobody would see or hear him. And maybe nobody did see or hear him. And maybe it was all the Tesla GPS linked him there for a couple hours. But then you would think he wouldn't know that any car, any car has the GPS these days, not just the Tesla. That's not a whole high tech thing. That like all cars have the GPS thing, right? I feel like any newer car. So like, of course, the Tesla is gonna have a great one. Yeah, I didn't think of that snake. That's when Aurora said that. That's true. So yeah, maybe. Okay, so hold on, let me download these pictures that she sent. So here's these. I guess these were posted. Hold on, let me download them. Come on. Wow. It hasn't even sunk in. So if I'm not making sense in my thought process, sometimes it takes me like hours to work it out, makes like understand what I just read. So if you guys are kind of just hearing me kind of think out loud with you guys because I just read it once, ran up here, made a thumbnail, and went live. All right, hold on. Let me bring up my files. Let me bring them over here. Okay, so this right here, these right here, I guess, of course, I mean, I don't think that'd be real blood, but she just sent it to me because it kind of like, I guess it was posted in January. Let's see, 113. But I mean, I don't know. It says me smiling through the pain when TikTok gets deleted. So I guess there's a theory, like I said, that it happened in January, went out and buried her, freaked out sometime in spring, unburied her, put her in a freezer, and then in September put her in her car. Well, in the end of July, last almost the last day of July, puts her in his Tesla and then parks it, has somebody else park it. Dude, well, I mean, think about this. Was he gonna try to frame Neo or whoever was the last to drive it and be like, I didn't drive it last. I don't know what he did. That'd be messed up. Just like how he put his pills in Neo's bag. Hey, if you get in trouble for drugs, that's on you. I put them in your bag. Come on, you got a pocket, David. I'm sure you had a bag. You put him in Neo's bag, and Neo made a face. He didn't like that. He's the famous one. He's the big one. He probably was like, "Hey, everybody listen to me. I'm putting him in your bag. We get busted. You're getting busted for the drugs. Hey, go ahead and move my car. We get busted. I'm putting it on you." I don't know. I mean, it's bigger than that. So that's stupid to think I know for him to think just because he moved the cards, he's not gonna think, "Oh, you're not involved, David." But nothing makes sense anyway. Why put her in the car when you had her in a freezer? That don't make sense. So nothing is making sense. So anything could be possible with this, with his way of thinking, because it's stupid. Anyway, these were posted January 3rd. He's got blood on his face, which I'm like I said, I'm sure it's fake blood, but I don't know. Who freaking knows with this psycho? Who freaking knows? You never know. There was one a live picture. I was gonna try. It's actually a live picture from. Oh, the live picture doesn't. Huh? You know those live pictures, and it kind of moved, but it's not working on when I transferred it from my phone to this. Yeah, it could be that too. And it did show me. I know, like that whole thing of him putting his drugs in his bag could have got overlooked, but that I didn't overlook that. That stood out so big when he did that because they weren't happy. She's like, when he said, "Oh, they're drugs," that girl was like, "Oh, well, yeah, they're in your bag," and you could tell. I don't think Neil was happy about it, but because if they get busted, it's going to be all on him. You carry the drugs. When I need them, I'll take them. But you're the one that has to get them into the party. When we're driving, they're in your bag. I'm just saying, shows you what type of friend he is. All right, yeah. All right, guys. I don't know. That's all I wanted to tell you guys. Let me just look one more time before I leave to see if they updated that article at all. If not, oh, and I did make a short of that part. I found that part. If you guys want to check it out, the part where I said he was giving us a hint of who the second suspect is. I made a short of it. So check it out after this if you want. And answer and tell me who you think. And if you don't want to, so I did. This is the first time I did this with the short. You could have an answer, or like they have different options, like kind of like little games you could play with shorts. And I've seen them other people, and I'm like, I want to try it. So it has this thing where you answer somehow. Figured out. I think you click on it and then you answer the question, and I think it just pops up in the comments. But if you feel weird saying the actual name of the person you think it is, just maybe use the first letter as it, or just say, you know who I think it is. So just say I agree or something if you don't feel like putting the name, because I get it if you don't. But you know what I'm thinking. So I'm sure most of you, if you do, just put I agree with you. I think it was what you were thinking, or I disagree with you, or like if you want to put a letter or something, if you want to answer it and you don't want to put the person's name. All right. Hold on. Let me just see real quick. Dang it. That's sick. I'm just the more we're learning, the more stuff doesn't make sense, and the more it's to me looking like murder. I feel like because at first I was still like, ah, maybe it was like an accident. The more I'm learning, the more I'm thinking, no, this was intentional. So let's see. This is I just refreshed it. Well, actually, I typed in it all over, clicked on it, brand new again. So if there's a new update, it'll come. I mean, it. Let's see. So I'm gonna read it one more time. Just people just came in, and then I'm gonna end it and comment you guys what you guys think because I want to know because I'm confused. I mean, I just want to hear people's thoughts. It says Celeste Rivas's body had been frozen, and as a result, it looks like the LA County Medical Examiner will not be able to establish a cause of death. Sources directly connected to the investigation tell TMZ. So they tell them, yeah, that they don't think they'll be able to establish a cause of death. According to those sources, the medical examiner received the body in horrendous condition. It was decapitated, and while the torso is intact, the limbs had been removed and cut into multiple pieces. Oh, thank you, Cat Mouse. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Um, I know, Snake. It's sick. I know. Mataharic, it's horrible. It's high soft TMI. I know. Um, we're told all the body parts were partially frozen. So that I'm guessing what they're saying is when they found them, they were still partially frozen, is what I'm guessing, that they were definitely probably frozen for a while and then they were still partially frozen when they found them. Is that how you're taking that? Anyway, so we're told all the body parts were partially frozen and had apparently been thawing out while sitting in the trunk of David's Tesla. Remember, David's vehicle had not been moved for several days when it was parked on Hollywood Hills Street near his rental home, which resulted in it getting towed and then the body being found. As TMZ reported, Celeste's body was in such bad shape initially, investigators did not know if it was male or female. I remember because I remember when it first came out, I was like, wonder if they're gonna be able to identify who this is because they made it seem like, wow, like they couldn't even tell if it was a male or female. When the body was received by the medical examiner's office, the initial determination was this was a victim of an apparent homicide. But our sources say the medical examiner is now having trouble establishing an official manner or cause of death, and it will most likely be undetermined. Another thing, does that mean that the toxicology came up clean and not a large amount of drugs that could kill her? Or does that mean that they were not able to get a good toxicology reading because of the status of her body? What do you guys think? Because to me, it's sounding like that's not pointing towards overdose, because that would be a manner of death. Regardless, it could either intentional overdose, accidental overdose, but overdose would be the cause of death, right? If toxicology showed a large amount of some kind of drug, but I wonder if it was just they weren't able to get a good amount or like a good sample, or did it show not a large amount of drugs, so therefore they knew it wasn't that, so they can't establish a cause of death. Thoughts, comment what you guys think that means, because we were all waiting for the toxicology results. It will most likely be undetermined. Other sources connected to the investigation tell TMZ the LAPD's robbery homicide division is viewing Celeste's death as homicide. And even if the official cause of death is undetermined, authorities can move forward with an arrest. TMZ broke the story. David is now considered a suspect in Celeste's death. What's more, TMZ has learned that there is a second suspect who authorities believed helped David in dismemberment of Celeste's body. Mark Garagos appeared on the most recent Two Angry Men podcast and says he knows the name of the second suspect. And authorities have told him this person might have been involved before, during, and after Celeste's death. TMZ also broke the story. A critical part of the case involves a trip investigators say David took to a remote area of Santa Barbara County in the middle of the night back in spring, where he spent 2 hours. If Celeste's body was taken to that area months before it was discovered in LA, it seems the operating theory is the body parts were put in some sort of freezer for a long time before it ended up in David's Tesla in late summer. So I think, I mean, even there, yeah, I think that's a good theory that Siri that Reddit has. She was killed in January, or I guess so I guess, like, some people are thinking she was killed, and then when like, around that time that they took the, trip to Santa Barbara, and then that's when they took her there. But then they would have to went back there to get her, you know what I'm saying? So that was either the first trip if she was buried there, that was either them burying her or unburying her. So that is a really interesting theory, and I might think that's really good that she was killed sometime in January, taken there around that time, and then that spring trip there was unburying her and taking her back, put in the freezer. And then maybe, unless the other theory is they dismembered her out there and that was the trip. Because think about it, just because I know you might think, well, then if they just unburied her, then where's the trip there? But like I said, they could have taken a different car on, the first trip. They could have remembered to keep their phones back on the first trip. They could have been smarter that first trip. I mean, you never know. Or that's where they dismembered her. So put what you think in the comments, because I think it's either that theory, or they dismembered her and killed her in springtime, dismembered her there, took her back and froze her, or killed her in the winter, took her there sometime in the winter, freaked out, went and unburied her, and then put her in the freezer. But still, that last part is the one that makes the least amount of sense. Why put her back in the Tesla? Or I shouldn't say back, because I don't know if she ever was in the Tesla, but why put her in the Tesla right before you're gonna be on an international tour and have her sit in this heat in the trunk? 0 sense. Alright, guys. Thanks for coming. Hey, Arwen. Hello. Hey, Kristen. Ponder reality, touching on earlier. There's absolutely no way that the body could remain frozen. I didn't think so either. Ponder like that's my first thought. I know. But why is that saying that? So, okay. What I was thinking is maybe it was just the fact that they could tell she was frozen and she actually wasn't frozen when they found her. But I don't know. The wording's tricky. The wording almost seems like she was still partially frozen. But I know that's what my first thought. How the heck was she still frozen? So, theory number 3 is she wasn't in there when she was moved on the 29th, and somebody put her there more recently when they were already on tour. The car was already moved that last time. Somebody just, well, there would have been a camera. You think SF investigate if he sees them move her there, he would have. Unless if he was specifically trying to watch the car move, like, how many movements all in that time frame would he, if you're going through all these cameras, clips, what if he missed somebody going up to the car? No, you would in the dark, I don't know. The only other option is she wasn't still frozen, they just meant she was frozen before, or she was, and it's just crazy that maybe she was that frozen that somehow after 40 days, or somebody put her there after more recent, and it wasn't that January 20 or July 29th move of the car. Somebody just put her there after it was already there. They just went maybe in the middle of the night and put her in the frunk, uh, and didn't move the car, just put her there. I don't know. I don't know. There's too many questions. It's gonna drive us nuts. Well, they are slowly releasing things. So the way this is going, like, we might get a little bit of answers every few days. Because I mean, we haven't got like a good solid answer of anything for how long? Months, I feel like. And now, within a week, we're getting some answers. So they might start coming quick now, because it's becoming close to an arrest. They're going to start leaking things, and then the arrest is coming soon, hopefully. Yeah, I do too, Kristen. I think it is too. You think? Okay. I guess that's another option. Somebody framed him. I think he was fully aware of it. I'm having trouble believing that he wasn't. Because think about it. Months. How would he have known you know what I'm saying? But no, I mean, there are still people that think that. I just think he was. I think he was a huge part of it. I think he was the number one person. But I think he was the number one, and then he's the head honcho. He's the one that people listen to, like, "Hey, you're gonna help me do this," because he was the most famous out of the group. They were all like his little groupies, you know? None of them other ones, they weren't anybody. Not that he was somebody, but as far as, like, fame-wise, you know what I'm saying? It was like a, what do you call that kind of fame, where it's very, like, the way that social media is, people could be famous, but it's, like, very, like, compartmentalized fame. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never heard of him, but he is famous in the group of people that know him. He's got thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that probably listen to his music, and I never heard of him. There's so many people in the world that I mean, like it's weird. Have you ever thought of this? Like Brad Pitt. Everybody knows who Brad Pitt is, I would think. But like a million views, like of a movie or whatever, that's a lot of views. But you could have somebody on YouTube that has a million subscribers, but they're not famous like Brad Pitt. I don't know. I think of that weird stuff sometimes. It's like weird fame now. Anyway, all right, guys. Oh yes, I do too, especially after watching that video that we watched the other day with them when they were all so he was talking about going to the bathroom and all that stuff when they're at the mansion. That made me really realize their dynamic, their relationship dynamic, and it's very telling if you ask me. Um yeah, I think he will. I think he will if he hasn't already. Um, and maybe he has. And maybe that's why they know he had help because he already did. You never know. Because they would keep it hush hush until they made an arrest. If somebody's working with them, they're not going to announce that until they arrest him. All right, guys. I personally don't think it happened yet, but who knows? They probably have talked to him already, and maybe they're trying to work on him. All right, I think so too, Arwen. I'm thinking so too. Sociopathic, at least, maybe. All right, guys, have a good one. I'll see you next update. It might be sooner than you think. Hey, it might be later on tonight. But I'm thinking it's going to start moving fast, guys. So I'll be seeing you more often. Have a good one, everybody. Leave a comment, though. I want to know your thoughts. Plus, it helps with my algorithm. But I actually really want to know because I like to know what people are thinking. It helps give me like also some ideas of what the heck could be the situation. So, all right, guys, have a good one.